In a world full of rush, pause for a drink. Pure, clear, and fresh. Let your mind think. In every sip of 1 and 8 alkaline, you'll find a taste so pure, refreshes the mind. With a 9.5 pH, it's balanced just right. Electrolytes to keep you bright. Potassium fuels your everyday, keeps you glowing in every way. Drink water and mind your business until it's time to stand on it. 1 and 8 alkaline, the water that keeps you glowing. Let's glow.
Grace and peace, and good morning. I hope everybody is having a good Saturday morning and has had a blessed week. We are back again here on July 19th. Hard to believe we are almost all the way through July already. It just seems like this month has come and gone. But anyway, got a couple things we're going to touch on today. Try not to be before you too long. Just gonna kind of discuss something that I brought up on the show back in June, dealing with something local in Greensboro, just to kind of give a little more information or share a little more information on that, and then talk about a couple of things that took place that's dealing with the state. Um, um, as well, making sure everybody coming in. But I want to say good morning and thank you to those who may be joining us on Instagram. My man Preston Clark, good to see you, old classmate. What's going on, my brother? Those on Facebook, those on YouTube, welcome, 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 welcome. But like I said, we'll touch on those couple of things. Then we'll discuss a little something from our book of the month, social entrepreneurship. If you haven't heard about it, know about it, or even doubt it, go check it out. Social entrepreneurship, what everyone needs to know. David Bornstein, and Susan Davis. All right, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Shout out to my man A. Zachary Shepard, and Amelia the poet, the one in a million alkaline water, as you saw the commercial. So we're ready. So it looks like everybody's coming in the building. So thank you for joining. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and talk about it. But with that, let's get started. All right, I wanted to do this to start the show. We like to promote some upcoming shows that we have coming up. And like I've said before, I am hip hop. So we're doing one for the culture in a couple of weeks. As you know, we do our Wednesday Wisdom, where, we like to bring forth some thought on some things, but we also like to lift up and highlight people that's doing stuff in our community, or entrepreneurs, or people that are doing innovative things. We lift that up here on the show, but it's kind of early, so it's kind of hard to get people right this early for interviews. No, I'm joking, but we'll have more people on the Saturday edition. But Wednesday Wisdom, we like to use that time, people getting off work, getting settled. It's the middle of the week, maybe give you a little push to get through the rest of the week. So we like to do it there a lot. But Wednesday, August 6th, we're gonna have a special treat. Let me just go ahead and play this real quick. How about that? Maybe I'll do that.
Yo, Tech, let's make something happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Tell your mother, send a telegram. All right, we have the world famous technician, the DJ, who will be on. And as you saw from the little commercial, uh, infamously known for that versus battle between the Locks and Dipset, where Jadakiss said, "Yo, Tech, let's make something happen," and then laid down one of the baddest freestyles we've ever heard. But as you saw from the pics, he's also the DJ for Rakim. He's DJ for Ghostface, Killer, Raekwon, the Chef, Fat Joe. A lot of folks rock the bells radio. So we want to send a shout out to him, and we're looking forward to that interview in August, the first Wednesday in August, August 6th, 8 p.m. on our Wednesday Wisdom. So shout out to him, shout out to Malcolm Teasdale, shout out to the Boogie Down Bronx, where he hails from. So we got love. So that said, let me jump right into it. Let me jump right into it on your Saturday morning. Thank you again to all joining us. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Like it, share it, subscribe it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, back in June, we talked about an ongoing situation here in Greensboro, in East Greensboro, one of the communities of East Greensboro, Bingham Park. And matter of fact, I'm going to put a link in the chat for those who can. My chat don't want to act right. There we go. All right, to the city's webpage, discussing what is going on here. So uh, the situation is this. Years ago in the 1920s, in this community, which is a Black community in East Greensboro, being a part, those that may not remember, it used to be the site of Morningside Homes. It's off East Market Street, not too far from the campus of North Carolina A&T. But back in the 20s, there was a landfill that was placed in that community. And over the years, it was covered up, and Bingham Park was placed over it. So after some concerns of contamination and things of that nature in the soil and the water, there's a pond near there in the water. There were some studies done that found that a lot of chemicals from the old landfill waste site were impacting individuals in that community and the quality of the land. So I believe it was 2023 where they began um, having some meetings about it, or maybe 24. I know when we last talked, we were talking about 24, but they were trying to figure out what to do. But it was really early 2024. I think they started having community discussions. But it was an unlined landfill. And then I believe they used it for years, and then they built the park, I think, in the 70s. But after testing done by the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, like I said, they found a lot of contamination in the soil and the water, and they have closed the park since then, due to this contamination. So the park has been unable to be used, and that community is not able to enjoy um, that resource. And the city, it's been a fight for them to do something. Um, so, like I say, the city had just chosen to try to continue to cover it up. Um, the city had raised, I believe, $42 million of private funds, like for so many new facilities, the Tanger and the East Greensboro is like, well, why can't we raise money to fix our park or use it to correct this situation? So we see this once again as environmental justice that needs to happen. And the city has been doing all these things to build up its, I guess you would say, entertainment and industrial circle, but nothing has been done to protect its citizens. So after meetings, several meetings, I know the city posted this, and it's the link in there. But they did testing in 22, right? And they found all this contamination to where it's inoperable. Now, here's what was done in 2023. They formed a commission to clean it up, and then they had some discussions on what it would take to move it. And they actually looked at several landfills. They looked at the local landfill, the White Street landfill here in Greensboro, but they also looked at other sites, and I'll get to that in a moment. But they did raise some funding to address this. They got money from the Federal Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Appropriations Bill. They got $1 million. They had a state bill that gave them up to 11 million. In State House Bill 259, but it's up to 11 million, but the city could utilize that. And the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality estimated 7 million just to try to move the old soil and stuff, to excavate it and take it to a new land waste site. But here's the problem that still lies, where will the resources come to refurbish the park or redevelop a future park? So that was some of the discussions, because, it comes to a situation where we may have the money to excavate it and transfer all that damaged soil and water, but then where will the monies come to redevelop it? But for those options, they try to look at landfills within about 75 miles because it's estimated that it's going to take a minimum, but probably more, of about 11,400 plus truckloads to move this waste. But they did identify two main landfills that they would probably consider in moving all this waste to, and that was the Great Oak landfill in Asheboro and the Uwharrie landfill in Troy. They deemed that White Street was not a viable option because probably so much waste the area's in, and was a fight over that several years ago. But here's the thing, the redevelopment of the park. There used to be a school right near there, Hampton Elementary, that was damaged by the hurricane several years ago. So they decided not to use that. So that is one of the options, to maybe build over that old site to create a new park, just to ensure, better quality of soil, more safety for those residents. So that's an option. And there was a community engagement report that was done. And let me see, I'm going to try to put that in the chat. I won't go too much into it. It's a 20-page report. But like I say, we are the resource center, so we like to give you resources. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well. You can check it out. But there is hopes, I guess, of this being the viable option to give that community the park it deserves, a resource that they can utilize and enjoy, and a better quality of life, because we know the impacts of contaminated soil and water can lead to so many health issues and things. And the park where children utilize it and stuff, and you don't want to see our babies becoming sick and inflicted with ailments due to something that was an injustice years ago, but needs to be corrected. So we're thankful in that manner that the city is addressing it. We continue to encourage those citizens that are bringing attention to it and fighting for it. And we thank you for all the dedication. And if I can get some more information on it in the upcoming weeks and months, I will. And I'll try to stay in tune to it and help join the fight. I have some ties to Bingham Park. I won't get into that in my old high school Wu Tang days, but I won't get into that. But very serious issue, and we just pray that it will be corrected so that those citizens in that area can get the resource that they need. So let me transition. And once again, let me do this reminder before I transition to another topic. All right. Make sure you do that. So there was a big case or lawsuit that happened expanded from 2023 by the NAACP and Common Cause and some citizens of North Carolina. A lawsuit that happened in 2023 focused on the racial gerrymandering that the state was accused of when lines were redrawn after 2022. And this trial took place in Winston-Salem. The final hearing date was, I believe, last Friday, the 11th. And it took place. Now, a decision won't be made. They said, no, it won't be made at least to the beginning of August, but it may take longer than that. With these things, you don't know what may happen. But in the lawsuit, they utilized a study done by Jonathan Rodden, who is a political scientist at Stanford University, where he just pointed out that the lines that were drawn after 2022 changed the amount or the percentage of candidates elected by citizens of color, blacks, in those districts. They of the 14 districts, and it was focusing on the House districts. Of course, they said in the 2022 election, about 6.2 of the 14 districts were black voters had an impact in, which was lowered to about 3.8 of the districts in 2023. So in this study, he just pointed out the influence of the gerrymandering had racial overtones. Now, I wasn't accusing that it was done directly. It was just stating that its impact primarily affected black voters and voters of color. And the main impact was on the Piedmont Triad area and parts of Mecklenburg County. So this was a very big case. As we know, a lot of seats were flipped, I believe, for 2022. I think the House was even in representation to the federal government. I think it was 7-7. And then I think it's now 10-4. So this has been an ongoing case. So we'll look and pay attention to what decision may happen. Well, we hope it comes in August, but it could take longer. It was a 3 judge panel that will decide, that heard the case. So if you are into voting justice and what's going on with this, I will also put this article in the chat so you can kind of read. And in the upcoming weeks, we'll stay abreast of it. I had a meeting with the Triad Circle of the Poor People's Campaign and kind of discussed it. So we're going to kind of keep an eye on these things that are happening around our state. But there's an article in the chat if you choose to check it out. Let me run. I forgot to do this, man. If you want to follow us, here are some ways to connect with us running at the bottom of your screen. So please connect with us. If you're watching us on Facebook, but you're on IG, you can connect with us on IG also at the RCB store. If you're on IG and Facebook, connect with us, the Resource Center Bookstore. And you can always email us if you have. And please email us and let us know if there's some things going on in community events, things we need to know about, state, local, whatever. So we can uplift it and share it with everybody. So now let me move to one more thing that I believe we talked about before, but I'm going to lift it up again. Let me find it. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me check Instagram, see who on there. Shout out to my cousin, Dog Green, Rich Free in the building. Luke Rawls, what's up? My brother Elliot Rawls, good to see you, my brother. Good to see you, my brother. Give me 1 second, and I'm gonna pull up, because this is something we all need to be aware of. Those of us, especially in North Carolina, because we pay those Duke Energy bills, and if you try to pay them on time, I'm not gonna say pay them all on time, but if you try to pay them on time, there was a big meeting. It was up here in Greensboro, but it's impacting the whole state, and it's about the North Carolina Carbon Plan. And this has become a big issue because North Carolina introduced this North Carolina Carbon Plan, which is like a 30-year energy plan. And there has been some concerns about these new plants and facilities that they're planning, and people are worried about this expansion of methane-based gases, nuclear energy, the transmission lines that will be placed with these facilities. And I believe the North Carolina Utilities Commission has already improved it, but there's just a lot of non-transparency in a lot of these things going on. Like number one, Duke Energy has, in their proposal, has not identified or disclosed locations where they're planting these plants, and they're kind of saying, well, once it's approved and in the implementation plan, we will then identify them. And it's not totally about not having these facilities, but it's more about citizens having input and the right channels, going through the right channels to ensure the safety of the citizens in these communities where these facilities may go. Once again, as we talk with Bingham Park and all these things, there are always concerns about, number one, which communities are impacted, all right, and how they are impacted. And a lot of times, with industrial growth, many times citizens can be overlooked or the voice is not heard. So right now, many communities are standing up because they want a little more transparency. They want a little more oversight just to ensure the safety of these facilities that will be created in the plan, especially when it looks like they're going to be using mostly tax dollars, right? But it is a discussion that is engaging all 100 counties in North Carolina. So we're going to continue to support those in that fight because these things need to be brought to the people's attention, right? Because, oftentimes, once again, we may see disenfranchised communities or areas. It could be towns, cities that are often impacted by these things. And I know one of the lead persons raising a voice for this was the Reverend Mac Ledgerton, and he serves as the co-director of the Robeson County Cooperative for Sustainable Development. So they're kind of leading conversations as well, from what I've seen in this article. But I think that I'm sorry, I'm kind of reading just to make sure I didn't miss anything. But the plan, once again, has not been denied. Already, permit-related carbon plans have never been denied by the Utilities Commission or the Department of Environmental Quality. So once again, it's still in the processes, but we want to make sure that transparency is at the forefront of this thing, so that no people are harmed in the process of this. All right. So I'm gonna shut that down, but I just wanted, because I know we talked about that a while back, so just wanted to kind of touch base on that, kind of be updated. So with that, Brother Anthony Inge, what's going on? What's going on? So before we shut it down, once again, please connect with us. Remember Wednesday Wisdom. We had a great interview this past Wednesday with professional basketball player Brian Free. I like to surprise everybody every Wednesday, but join us. When we had the big guests, we had Amelia the Poet. We had, we got the technician, the DJ coming up. We had Brother Dana Merck on a while back. We had Dr. Naisha Douglas on, and A. Zachary Shepard with, let me lift that up as well. For Brother A. Zachary Shepard. Not only is the brother working with Amelia the Poet with the 1 in a Million water, alkaline water, but he's also working with, his organization he created is KinderCare in Anejo, which is trying to help cultivate some resources for the youth in Anejo in the continent of Africa. So please check that out. I'm running it right now. KinderCareInAnejo.org. So visit the site so you can get on the list to get updates and donate. I got to get myself together with that as well. So please shout out to all them. So lastly, want to lift up our book for the month, and then I'm gonna get out your face. I'm putting on the educator hat right now, or I'm staying. That was kind of social activist, educator, or informant, social informant. Inform you what's going on. And now I'm putting on the education hat. So as we noted last week, we kind of got into my light. I don't know. Just kind of turn. There we go. I hope everybody can see that. So a book, Social Entrepreneurship, What Everyone Needs to Know. David Bornstein, Susan Davis. And like I said, I took this in a class at Duke as we were, the purpose and roles of the church are ever changing. The call to get involved and move the gospel, or as I like to say, put legs on that gospel, just like Christ, who I follow. Okay, let me get in my pastor bag. No, I won't do that. But this book was motivational, just in the fact of, I was kind of in the midst of wanting to do something, needing that motivation, how, a view, to be educated on some stuff. And this book served as one of those motivating factors to help guide me. Number one, to the understanding of what it is. I've heard people say social capital, all this, but social entrepreneurship, and finding, a purpose. Once you identify where there's a concern, where there's a need, right? You find your purpose in that. So this book was the one that gave me the coin not to use nonprofit, because it has that negative connotation, and use for purpose organization, right? For purpose. So just want to touch on a couple of things, just going back through it, because, I hope this will be a resource for those that want to start projects, or just looking to get involved, or do anything that addresses some of the social needs out here, or social concerns within the community, within your state, your neighborhood, right? Your immediate community, right? And let me just define social entrepreneurship, right? Because there's layers to it, right? It was an original model, and then the social entrepreneurship, what they call 3.0, right, is kind of focused on change making and the potential of all people in their interactions, right? Social entrepreneurship is how we lift others, and it motivates others. So how it's usually defined is by it being the process by which citizens build or transform institutions to advance solutions to social problems in order to make life better, right? That's something we all can do, right? We can all identify problems and try to advance solutions with one another by transforming institutions. It doesn't always have to be reinventing the wheel. Sometimes we get in spaces and we complaining, but it's like, no, if we believe, sometimes we're called to these spaces because there may have to be some transformation. A further definition by Greg Dees, who is considered the father of social entrepreneurships, is improving the productive capacity. I can't talk this morning. Improving the productive capacity of society and providing the creative, quote, creative destruction that propels economic change, social change, people and resources, right? And in this, there's kind of two schools of thought, right? There's the enterprise way of thinking, right? Where that's the organizational strategy, right? The how we're going to gain revenue or increase the revenue in order to do the work, the financial planning of the institution. So that's kind of the enterprise aspect. But then there's the innovative train of thought, which is the breakthrough insights, how we're going to create the change, how we're going to cause the change that needs to happen. So, powerful book, and many kind of look at that word entrepreneurship because we always just associate it simply with business entrepreneurship. And I know we got some entrepreneurs on here now watching. Shout out to y'all and what you do, and much success. And we highlight those entrepreneurs, right? On Wednesday Wisdom. Y'all make sure y'all check out Wednesday Wisdoms, right? But there's a difference between social entrepreneurship and business entrepreneurship, you know, as in the name. But the main difference is the purpose and what is to be maximized, right? Sometimes we maximize assets, materials, whatever we have in a business model. But um, in a social entrepreneurship, we maximize, right, the people, right? The greatest resource, as we like to say here, and what is said in the book, the greatest resource, the people. And we like to maximize that personal purpose of social impact, right? Which happens because of the people. And in that, and I'll close it with this, and in that, the model behind social entrepreneurship is not kind of mimicked as we see in corporate structures or even government, where it's more top down. But social entrepreneurship focuses on the bottom up with the people. And the people grow and flow and build it and lift it. So it takes time dealing with these models, but if you have a passion that you've identified, that change that needs to come and happen, and you find your purpose in it, it's worth the time. So I pray that I was a helpful resource in this short time we've had this morning. And I just want to thank you. I'm going to lift it up again, the book, if you ever heard of it, Social Entrepreneurship, What Everyone Needs to Know. And this is a great starting point if you're looking at starting an organization or joining an organization, or just trying to do, some work on something that is directly impacting you or affecting you or your neighborhood, your community. And I'll say this, I think, once we understand some of the dynamics of this, it helps us build stronger community and networks, so that we can always affect the change that needs to happen. So on that note, I'm gonna remind y'all once again, because sometimes y'all like to forget, right? Y'all know how nice I am. Tell your mother, tell your father, send a telegram to like, subscribe, and share. All right, once again, shout out to all of you. I pray you have a blessed and wonderful Saturday. And remember, we'll be back on Wednesday with Wednesday Wisdom. So thank you all. And until then, be blessed.